Hi, my name is Myles Gallagher and you're welcome to the Clonliffe Athletic Club podcast as we build up to the hosting of the National Seniors, Under-23 and Even Age Group Cross Country Championships. They're taking place at the Rosapenna Hotel and Golf Resort driving range just outside the village of Downings in the Donegal Gaeltacht on Sunday, November the 20th. Tá fáilte Rova League Shaw. Danny McDaid, you're very welcome to the Clonliffe Athletic Club podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you, Danny. There's a big event taking place this weekend in Downings, the driving range, the Rosapenna Golf Resort, Hotel Golf Resort and driving range. It's the National Senior Cross Country Championship, and it includes the junior and the juveniles under 12 up to under 18. A big day in the life of Clonliffe Athletic Club.
Absolutely, and the vision of the people that brought it here has to be admired, because it's a huge undertaking, and and looking out at the course today, I have no doubt that it will be a huge success, and it'll go down in the history of not alone Clonliffe Athletic Club, but for the whole of the county, and I'm sure the organising committee will have left no stone unturned, and the course looks excellent, and I hope they have an excellent day on Sunday.
Yeah, the weather is looking reasonably good, which is fine, and the surface is good. It's a fantastic course. I think Eamon Giles, a chairperson and founder member, mentioned on RTE television that it's the best cross-country course in Ireland.
Possibly,
It's a big statement. So there's a lot to be lived up to. But,
certainly,
well, would you believe that a gentleman that's involved in deciding that the job's done properly said that it's so good that you could run the European cross-country championships?
Yeah.
So that's some accolade.
Yeah, the landscape around would do justice to any major event. Yeah, absolutely. That's I think I joked with somebody there the last day about I said the next thing will be the European.
Well, you're in the same wavelength. They're all in the same wavelength. So I'm not sure what the Casey family would think of such a movement. They are looking for bigger events in their golf calendar.
Yeah.
Again, this would be some opportunity for publicity for the area.
Yeah, but when I heard it muted first about the this wasn't official or anything at the time about the national senior coming to Downings, I said, because I thought the national senior was more or less fixed in Abbottstown, but I said, no, and I didn't hear anything for a few weeks. Then again, I thought to myself, maybe they were thinking, maybe somebody got wrong. It was the Legends Golf.
Yes.
But it's well deserved of the course, But I do admire the vision of whoever was the organisers, and as far as I know it was yourself and your brother and a few more that got the heads together, but to push ahead with it and to win, you don't easily go to an application from the Donegal. You don't easily get it. There's always the questions asked because it seems to be further from Dublin or Cork to Donegal than just from Donegal to Dublin or Cork. So that's always the mindset.
That's the mindset.
Yeah.
Now, seemingly that was maybe the mindset a little bit initially, but then the rumour got out. I think they have a good course up there, so maybe we'll go up and see what's going on up in Donegal.
Right, yeah.
And yes, there's no doubt about it that from Dublin to Donegal it's the same as from Dublin or Donegal to Dublin. So yeah.
No, things like this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the vision, and I'm sure like I would do myself there on athletics. My whole life has revolved around athletics for the last 50 years, and that I lie awake at night, when I get something onto my head, something new that I toss it. Yeah, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Well, Danny, funny, I wouldn't be waking up at 5 in the morning, but it seems to be happening now recently, all right. So, but anyway, there's a good team. There's a great background. Cranford going since 1961, and that is a great benefit. There are people that have ploughed that furrow long before the people that are involved at the moment, and Danny, you were part of it, and we understand that you started running yourself in sports, doing reasonably well. You came along to Paddy Marley and the two of you at the same sports, Kilmacrennan. Maybe you tell us your story as to how you did become a member of Cranford Athletic Club.
Yeah, well, that was about the beginning of it. I did go around to other sports. There was always an athletic culture in Glenswilly, whether it was cyclists or tug of war or I remember different when cars become available. When I was maybe 10 or 12, but my older brothers and sisters and one thing another would have went off to the Cranford sports or the Port na Blas sports, or not alone them, but they would clean up sort of, the different families that were involved in cycling and tug of war and what have you, and long jump and that, but it was culture in Glenswilly for and for whatever reason, it was it appealed to me from a very young age. 10 or 12, I would go to the local sports and I would run the 100 metres and end up in a pile at the back of the field or something. That was the longest. When then 12,
that age group,
10, 12, 14. I went on then. And when I come to 14, 16. It was still the same, there was rarely ever, the longer distance. I never could get a longer distance to run. The under 14 or something would be 100 metres. That was it. The rest would be men and that, and of course, an influence on me would have been Sir LeBoyle. When I heard about Sir LeBoyle, when he started running, getting on be up working in the bog, and they get a load of turf on the lorry, and he would put his clothes in the lorry and he'd run home. And that appealed. I thought I could do that. I thought this. And so I just had a love for running from a very, very early age, and I would listen to the radio. The battery radio and on the international meets that Ballymorton used to run in Lansdowne Road.
Or Lansdowne Road before
Lansdowne
that.
Road
Right.
and Santry, and I would listen to the names there, Brian Hewson and Ronnie Delaney and that, and they were, they were. It wasn't footballers or that appealed to me. These were the guys that would appeal to me, and so that was, But yeah, Kilmacrennan, I would have done reasonably well in the mile. I would have won the mile in most places that I would have went to, and but except there were some Cranford had started up in, as you see, in 1961, and if there was any of the Cranford lads that would be there, with any experience, they may beat me, but I wasn't too bothered with that, because I thought, should they run away a club and that, but that day and Kilmacrennan, Paddy met Paddy Marley. Paddy ran the mile. I think Paddy won the mile. I think maybe I was second or something.
I think that's what he said.
He said, join Cranford. I said, what's entailed, And I says, we run about 5 miles, 4 or 5 times a week there, and or whatever, and said, he says, we'll be having a club race now, and this was probably July or August, and we're having a club race in Cranford at the end of the year, and we'll let you know. So I never heard no. I started, I said, I'll run this 4 or 5 miles. Or I would have done it on the road most of the time, and I would got into a vest and shorts, and ran the 5 mile as hard as I could every night.
Every night,
every night. That'd be.
You thought that was the thing to do.
That was 5 days a week, sort of, and that went on. So the word came then that this race was on in Cranford, and I went down there, and I remember a grand mild October day, and down there, and the boys were there in the clubhouse, and they were changing and getting into tracksuits and one thing another, and the smell of evergreen.
Winter green, that's right.
Embarkation, and there'd be rubbing, so I went down there, did I'm not sure that I even did a warm up, but took off anyway, and down the hill, down along the river, and I think Paddy Marley would have been, I think Paddy might have been the last to let go, but after 400 metres to the stampede, I just kept on going, and it was only probably 3 laps maybe or something, and I said to myself, these ships, even though I was 100, 200 metres ahead, said, sure, maybe they would catch me now in the last lap, so there was no let up, but I just kept going to the finish, scared, scared of what might happen, and I come in, and then, sure it was hard, the normal wasn't, and I remember Tom Logue being there, and I was so far ahead, he said, are you all right there, you're covered yet, so, it went on from then there, and then I went to the Ulster Novice a couple of weeks later and did the same thing there, just ran away with it, and then Paddy and that would be telling me about Christy McDonegal and these guys from Oakleaf, they were the kingpins in Ulster at the time, Then the Ulster Under-18 turned out, came to Cranford that year, and sometime in the middle of November, and Christy McDonegal and Wally Deary, and they were household names as far as
George
Paddy's concerned. George Williamson, and so I went out that day and won again, and they said, this first one started, somebody said, I heard that I was in England for a couple of years, you see,
right.
He must have been running with a club in England, but, and that
were you? No.
Not at all.
No.
Sure, I was
never left Glenswilly at that stage.
Oh, I was in London for 2 years,
okay.
But I worked in the Balkan sites there, and athletics wasn't part. Funny, I didn't meet a lad there, and in one of the Balkan sites, and he had ran for one of the Cork clubs,
okay.
and talked athletics to him, and that was I was 20, 21 at that stage, And then I came back, and I was. That's but then I was beaten in the Ulster Senior that year. Just a total lack of experience, sort of. It was a short course. I think as it turned out, the course was only about 5 miles when it should have been 7.5.
Right.
And
the longer the better would have
suited
you.
Of course, and I sat around too long. I didn't, and there was an Arthur Bradley he'd come back from England to run it for Oakleaf, and he beat me, just total lack of experience, that didn't put it up to him enough, just, and so that was,
So after that, you headed for Vigor.
Yeah. Like I was working in Kelly's Mill at the time, and just were long hours. I was helping a lorry, and I would have been getting home maybe 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I didn't be training. Even though I was training, I would I would get off the lorry at the top of Munich and run on to Letterkenny at 10 o'clock at night, sort of, and that things like that, so I packed on the job in Kelly's, maybe it wasn't a very wise thing to do at the time, but I thought I would get something more suitable to me running, you know, but I didn't. And I was a year unemployed then, you know, and I did a fair bit of training then when I was unemployed and that, you know. But at the same time, I had no coach, or, you know, I was probably going by what Paddy Marley and a few of the lads were telling me what they were doing, that, you know, I just did my own thing, sort of, you know. And then in, you know, 1967, you know, Paddy had gone to Dublin, and, you know, we had been going to races in Dublin to run relays with Cranford and that, you know, and we you know, we got the taste of it. We saw what, you know, what the scene was like in Dublin and what we had to do and that was the place, you know, there's a hub.
The hub, yeah.
There's a hub of athletics, you know, and we quickly saw that, you know, and we were good enough. The raw material was there, right, you know, and we probably knew that as well, you know, that we were as good, you know, if not better than most of the, you know, the top guys in Dublin and Clonliffe and that, and we got, Paddy had gone on to Clonliffe at the time, and so we started training with Clonliffe, and they didn't put no pressure on us. We ran, you know, with Cranford, you know, until I think we ran a year or 2 years with Cranford, until we decided, you know, here we were in Dublin, and we were training full time at Clonliffe, and you know that you know, I think maybe the officials in Clonliffe, you know, advised us, you know, we would like just to join the club. So,
understandably so in the circumstances.
So we did that, you know, and unfortunately, well, we still, the situation was in Ulster at the time, you see, you know, that we could run for, because they were that time, and BLE had been formed in '67.
That's right.
And the NACA had become, you know, so they had to abandon and or disband, and they become known as the Ulster Sports Council.
Yeah.
So we could run Ulster Sports Council in Ulster, but still run with Clonliffe at national level, you know. So that was, you know,
the best of both worlds to some degree.
We had, for a number of years, all right, you know, but when I look back on it now, you know, and around the periods from I stayed in Dublin until '74, you know, but there was years I have won 13 Ulster senior cross countries and 2 Leinsters, I think it was, you know, over that period of time, and there was 2 or 3 years that I wasn't allowed to compete in the Ulster Championship. I was advised by BLE officials that since it was an illegal organisation, that they were going to be there watching, because I was reaching an international team at the time. I was on the international team at the time, you know, and if you run in the Ulster Senior, they could be there and get you suspended. Right. You know? Okay. So I had to forgo
a number of Ulster titles more,
you know.
I would say that's
you know. Yeah. So then, you know, that was that took me on to.
So you got to the international stage. What did you see ahead of you at that stage? What was your dream, as it were? What was your first international?
My first international was I made the European cross. That time it was European only, but it was it was open to the world, but it was known as the European cross country.
But it was
de facto the world. The Americans and New Zealand and, you know, all that countries would have been still competing, and you know, including Europeans, you know. So I was selected for that in 1969. I was selected for I'd won the Leinster. I think I was second in the Leinster to Tom O'Riordan. My good friend Tom passed away there, and I was second. And there was an invitation on from Madrid for couple of guests, a couple of runners to go there, So then Tom wasn't available, and I was the next in line, so that was my first, international, but it wasn't official, it was just an invitation, But I still got a vest for
the green vest on. So
that was probably my life's ambition,
Yes.
I would have, I would have watched rugby a lot, on television. That I always, since I was joined athletics, I suppose your ambition is to run prayer, and the first vest I got when I spread it out on the bed, with the shamrocks on it, it was.
It felt good.
Big moment, yeah.
It was worth doing all those miles.
Yeah. So then I qualified then for the national senior. I finished 6th, I think, in the national, and the first 9 was. Went to Glasgow for the European cross country, and
Where was that championship held?
It was in Bellahouston Park.
Oh no, sorry, but the Irish.
The Irish qualifying was in the Curragh, I think it was.
Okay.
Can't remember clearly, but
right.
it was I qualified, and being I think it was second finisher. When I finished 6th, yeah.
Well,
so
maybe the
that
place,
place,
wasn't maybe that suitable for you.
Yeah, so that was the start of my international career, And
did you get a kind of a bug that must continue with us now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, absolutely, yeah. Even though I was, track and field was I liked it more,
Right.
I loved running anything
track.
between the track between 3,000 and 5,000 meters, and but as it turned out, I'd run the national marathon in 68, I think it was, and 69, and not very successfully. I was running just track running that I was doing, and even though I was a good cross country runner, I always liked the track, and I was running sort of 50 mile a week, and doing speed work the same as Paddy Marley would be doing, that type of thing,
right,
and I met up with our coach in Clonliffe Harriers. It was Laura Bourne, and I think it was around around 68 and 69 in the marathon, not very successful. And Laura sat me down and said, you get away with 50 mile a week, but if you want to run a marathon, and she said, I think you are more suited to the marathon. If you want to run a marathon, it's going to entail running. There's probably, I'd won the national marathon in 1970, I think, so it might have been after that Lara came up and said, listen, you're going to have to, up the mileage, I was probably running maybe 50, 70 mile a week at that time, this is, it'll entail running between 90 and 100 mile a week,
That's a big jump.
I was working the Balkan site in Dublin, and and coming home in the evening and no dinner, and maybe a sandwich was all I had all day, and you either went out and trained on that, or you had your dinner, and more likely you threw up the dinner when you got into a training session, So Lara said, you're going to entail 100 up to 100 mile a week. So Laura wrote me out a schedule, sure. 2 years later, I was running 140 mile a week,
Yes, I heard reports back then, all right. Big mileage.
And I made the, I won the national marathon in 70, and 71, I must calculate the, it was a short course as well, and I left it too late, and I allowed Paddy Coyle to get, he was maybe 3 minutes ahead of me, and I allowed him to go too far ahead, and I'd pull them back to you within 30 seconds, and if the course had been the distance, it should have been, but anyway, I'd qualified as for the European Championships in Helsinki that year,
Okay, in 71, right?
In 71, so I did reasonably well. I finished 11th in the Europeans, which is me, first big international sort of,
That's good performance.
2:19 or something, was racing at the time, but then, Lara started looking at the Olympics, and he said, it's you'll have to be up to, so like, that's when I started running. 72, I was running anything from 90 to 140 mile a week, and I at one stage got up to. There's one couple of weeks I ran 160 miles, and now you see a lot of the younger generation. They when they think of 100 miles, they're thinking more of 100 kilometres.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's kilometres, but there's genuine miles, and but like I would have ran, I started back in would have a couple of weeks off in August, maybe, and September, we would start back probably early mid-September, and I would have ran, out of a target of 1,000 miles between that and Christmas,
Right.
So and that's what I've done, and
Where was the qualifying then for the Olympics?
The Olympics, the qualifying was in Athlone,
Okay.
and I struggled, Well, I ran well enough, but Donny Welsh come his first marathon. He had been in Villanova,
That's right.
and he was a good track runner. He would have been 28 minute, 28:30, 10,000 metre runner, and we probably underestimated him as well, But anyway, I finished third that in the trial, and of course all three would have went.
Was it
Donny Welsh
Jim
ran.
McNamara, was it the other?
Donny Welsh ran 2:15, and Desi McGann ran 2:16, and I ran 2:17.
Oh, right, yeah.
So just there, But at the same time, we went to when I was working with I'd been working the Milton sites in Dublin up until 70, I think it was, and I got a job with the Daid office cleaning, and I was driving the van there and doing deliveries and that, and they went out of business in about, the Olympics was in August, September. They went out of business in June, I think it was, so I was at the height of my training, I wouldn't have got a job to suit me to keep on my training, so I was unemployed then until I went to the Olympics, and I remember going to I was on social welfare at the time, so it was drawn. I had the guys tortured. I was up and down to Dublin, you see, so I used to have to change from Dublin to Letterkenny, and they didn't know in Letterkenny what I was up to. So I was picking it up in different areas, So I would be 2-3 weeks in Dublin, and I'd come back and then maybe spend 3 weeks in Letterkenny, and so but then. When I was going to the Olympics, then they cut me off the social welfare because we asked what reason. We said you're not eligible for work. So
you had to be available for work.
I had to be,
you were representing your country at the Olympics.
That's right,
No pain.
And so change times when you see the guys now on Olympians on 40,000-60,000.
A year, yeah.
A year,
And maybe a bit of sponsorship.
But anyway, going to the Olympics, we were amateurs, going into a professional setup,
Okay.
Looking back on it now, I wasn't no way prepared to be in the Olympics, even though I'd done the hard work and all, but psychologically and medically and that,
Well, even from your nutrition point of view, you saying that you were on a sandwich, for example, after a day's work.
That's right.
Sure, look, there's
You know,
menus now.
of course, you know.
Is that
just,
how you're supposed to be fed? Yeah.
I don't think there's any comparison now in the setups, you know, for in any country, you know, like Ireland, you know, or come leaps and bounds, you know,
Yes.
was, you know, nutritionists and sports psychologists and what have you, you know. Sure, you know, we listened to our body, you know. And I think it was very good at that, you know, that got to the major championships, you know, but, you know, you listen to your body, but, you know, you knew your body, but you didn't always get the chance to do.
Correct, the thing that you probably knew you should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I'm sure I told you before that I worked on the farm, and you know, I used to go home at weekends when my father and mother were there, you know, and you know, the turf had to be won, and make sure that they were okay for the winter, and that, you know,
right.
and you know, like I say, I'm sure I told you as well before, you know, that I did tougher things in my life than run marathons, you know, but like we were, you know, even though we were physically we were well enough prepared, but you know, psychologically and, you know, nutrition, you know, we were still amateurs.
Very,
you know, very much so, you know, and
you made it to the Olympics, 72, and one would have to say, am I right in saying you finished 23rd overall?
23rd overall.
And were you 11th
I
European?
think it was the 11th European
I think
as well.
that too.
Yeah.
So that's not bad coming from Glenswilly and coming from the environment that you were in, working on a building site and trying to do 100 plus miles a week.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So tell us about your experience in the Olympics. You know, were you overawed? Did you think it was what it was going to be? Was it better than you thought it might be?
Sure. You know, it was probably better than I thought. You know, where you went in there, you know, and you know, we were probably nearly a month there, you know, and you know, it was athletics all the time there, you know, on the facilities, and you know, she had. With the restaurants, probably, you know, it was all new to us as well, you know, and we weren't used.
You were looking for your spuds and
absolutely, you know,
gravy and whatever.
You know, different from now, you know, where people are out, you know. Most families would eat out maybe once or twice, at least maybe once a week anyway, you know. So we never, you know, until we started athletics, sure, we used to. Great going to Dublin for the weekend and getting a meal in a hotel.
Right. Yeah.
Sure, you know, there's on, you know, it really brought us out of, you know, Glenswilly and you know, where we saw the world, that, you know, like that's what I say to 16, 17, 18-year-olds nowadays, you know. I said, you know, stay at it, you know. You can see the world, which I saw wasn't parts that I'd never would have been if I hadn't been involved in athletics. You know, who knows what turn my life would have took if I hadn't joined athletics, because you know, at the time the troubles in the north and what have you. You know, I remember travelling through the north and. Scary situations,
right?
You know, coming home at 2 o'clock in the morning through you know, detours and one thing and checkpoints, and you know, you don't know as you know, the next car up there is going to stop you.
That's right. And who are they?
We need your car, you know. But you know, who knows where we would have went, you know. But you know,
well, especially back then. There wasn't opportunities for travel there is now. Maybe the younger ones now say, Well, what's that man talking about? We can go anywhere we want, you know. But back then, no, and you had no experience of it at all, and no understanding of what was happening in the rest of the
so
world.
you know, I did get to go like places like I'd always heard about the marathon in Athens. That's where it all started. Got to run in Athens and got to run in the New York City Marathon and finished 8th there and you know, had a 2000. So you know, and you know, I remember. That was in '76, but I remember running the New York City Marathon and being with Frank Shorter, who's Olympic gold medals and silver medalist and 2 Olympics, and Bill Roy just coming over Brooklyn Bridge, and you know, I think we were 49 something for 10 miles, you know. So I said,
that was a marathon.
Yeah, I said, if they just ease up a little bit, you know. But I did get up. But I ran 2:17 that day, you know, which was only just, you know, which put me, you know, my performance in the Montreal Olympics, you know, into perspective. You know, I had, you know, big disappointment, you know. I got injured before it and that, you know. So, but you know.
What kind of an injury had you? And I know you. How come you were still able to compete in it, as it were?
Well, I got to have tendinitis in my knee. You know, after I went to Boston the guy took me out there to get acclimatized and that, you know. You know, probably. July, you know, a month or 2 months before the Olympics, you know, and I had tendinitis at that time, you know, and I wasn't able to train properly, you know. I had been training with Bill Rogers and that, you know, and he did worse in the Olympics than me. As it turned out, and he was one of the favourites, you know, and and then I went into the Olympic Village about 3 weeks before and got back to some sort of shape in the Olympic Village. I was on the physiotherapist table twice every day, and I got back running again anyway, you know. And 8 days before the Olympics, I was out for a run with Neil Cusick. Neil was one of the other marathon competitors, and I was going over a little ditch, just, you know, and pulled the hamstring, absolute, you know. And he said, "No, Danny, give it a rub there, you know." I couldn't go on. I said, "I'm not able, you know." So it's pulled. I pulled it badly, you know, and when I went back to the village again that evening, it was so badly pulled that you could see it turned black, you know. And so I got on the physiotherapist table again, and from there, you know, a week before the marathon, I wasn't able to even run 3 miles, you know. So I kept jogging and got back, and you know, the right up to the final days, you know, and it cleared up.
Really?
I got it cleared up. The physio did a good job on it, you know, and I was able to take my place, but you know, just gone, you know.
And surely you're in pain running a marathon with condition.
Yes, I was. Yeah, but it was, you know, what do you do when you go you're there in the village, you know. It's an opportunity to run in the Olympics, and you know, it was, there was just no hope, you know.
What time did you do?
I ran 2:20. I ran about 2:27, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were conditions difficult anyway for a marathon?
No, the conditions wouldn't have been against us.
At all.
No, they weren't a factor because it was a rustly day and there was no 30 degrees temperatures or anything like that. No, there was no reason, you know. But I had trained, you know. I was in excellent form. Like that year, I had run my 2:13, you know. You know, right. The training was, I was even for the whole year, you know. I was, you know, I had won a marathon, an international marathon in Belgium, the previous September, and from there right on, didn't matter what I did, I was fine, you know.
Good shape.
Racing was great. Cross country running 140, 100 mile, you know, 140 miles a week in, week out. You know, that wasn't just once, you know. It was.
Well, you came at a bad time, but you looked at often when you when do you pull back that wee bit? You don't know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you know,
happens,
I was training that time. You know, I did army training. I had no coach at that time. I come back to Letterkenny in '74, and most of the boys in Clonliffe said, you know, we didn't know, you know, Danny's finished now, going back to Donegal, you know, but I've come back in '74, and so, you know, I made the team for the European Championships in Rome that year as well, you know, and I finished okay. I think it was 11th. I was the 11th. 11 seemed to follow me.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we got then when we after the Olympics in '76. You know, I still continued to train for the marathon, but I think in '78 I had a bad. It was the trials for the Europeans again in Prague, you know, but I ran poorly, and I said, I'm not, you know, doing that. So I said I'll go back running track and
right,
cross
shorter
country
stuff, yeah,
again, you know. So that was in around '78 then, you know. So then I started, like in cross country, became the big scene then, because John Tracy had come on to the
international scene.
International scene, and you know, we went to World Championships. The World Championships at that stage, they were known as the World Championships. Then the IAAF had taken over the running of them, you know, and we had a great, you know, Laura Byrne was the coach, and Tom O'Riordan was working with us, you know, for a few, you know, from '77, '78 for Glasgow, and you know, we had been allocated the championships for Limerick in probably in '77 or '78, you know. We knew it was coming in '79, you know.
Right.
So everybody was thinking cross country at that stage, you know. And so we used to have squad sessions and that, you know. And like I was captain of the Irish cross country team from '75, I think it was, you know. And you know, we had a great group there, like John Tracy and Brendan Cullen, there's, you know, Neil Cusick, Jerry Kiernan, myself, you know, and you know, we finished 6th in Glasgow. I think that was probably the closest we got to. We probably could have won it. We were only like 40 points, I think, behind the winners.
Okay.
You know, France won it, and we were only 40 points behind them. And you know, when I took it to it, and I finished 6th in the trial that year. You know, and the two of the boys that were first and second, I think, you know, they finished behind me in Glasgow.
So they'd run to the same.
They finished I finished 31st in Glasgow, and they finished 50th and 70th, I think, you know. So, you know, I always feel that maybe we let it go that year, but then it was all systems
go for '79 in Limerick. So you did a lot of training under Lar and Tom with a purpose. This is maybe where the psychology was coming in to some degree, in that, you know, we're in this together and we're giving it our best shot.
Yeah, there's good, you know, good feeling within the group. You and John had won in Glasgow, and you know, we wanted to perform in Limerick, of course, you know, and you know, I trained really hard. I did, you know. I did some serious training on the golf course out in Letterkenny there, you know.
Right.
And you know, I'd run maybe that time it was the post office, split shifts, so
Right.
start early mornings and maybe I'd be finished, get off at 11 o'clock and I'll be off for 3 hours, then I would do maybe 5 or 6 mile run and, come back in and go back and work for another 4 hours in the afternoon and, she'd be finishing about 6, 7 o'clock, and do another 10, 15 mile run then, so I was in great shape, great shape for Limerick, and being captain again, of course, all the pressure. All the pressure was me to do the interviews. John Tracy was, John was, he was there in Villanova.
They were in Villanova at that stage,
and, John would, wasn't available, the weekend there's on. He wasn't, I had to go and talk to the radios and one thing and another, but,
and you hadn't the practice of talking to Highland beforehand.
Ah, that's right.
Came too late.
Yeah. But,
so, what was the attitude on the day you all came together? Did you do a warm-up together?
No, everybody did their own warm-up,
Okay.
I remember me being out there, and, going out on the bus, we were all together, The day before we went out there to the course and, the courses was dry that day, it could be, and, when we come back in it, sort of before 1 o'clock, bucket, pour the whole evening and the whole night, but the next day it was sort of a rustle, but from the course being blown dry, it was quite bare the next day, and we were at breakfast together and we had our team talks and so they all got on well. Maybe I was I had been around and I was a senior and I was being led from the front all the time.
You were well respected and you put in the effort because there were no shortcuts.
Absolutely, and even John, young Danny McDaid, John Tracy used to come. I'm sure I was 15 years older than him. I was 38 at the time, when John was 22, 30,
Right.
But we all got on well, but yeah, they were, we treated just, a normal race, we were all on it together and everybody was in good shape, and, probably, with 25,000 people in the stands, it was, the atmosphere.
It must have been a great feeling, surely.
Absolutely, yeah.
You couldn't buy that type of...
Absolutely not. That's right, yeah. If there's anything that's raising the occasion, that is it. And luckily, fortunately, body and mind came together that day. It's just
for many of you.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
You finished 11th with
I
it again.
11th,
You're back in 11th again, up at 11th.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. And I
Mm.
heard a podcast very recently, John Tracy, talking about he had 3 races in his lifetime where nothing could go wrong, and he just gliding, and that was one of them. He said there was perceived pressure on defending champion, home soil, all the rest, the big name. He says it just flew through it.
Yeah, I myself couldn't believe, from I deliberately started off to stay out of trouble. The first 400 meters was something like this course out here today. But it was soft going. So I just started. I wasn't in the top 50 after 400 meters, and I just started working my way through. And but the course was serious. But I saw up front where John had taken the lead, but even watching video since, I can't understand why he did take the lead so early. Then he was feeling so good.
He was feeling so good. He was kind of.
I've had some of them days myself in cross country. I remember what year was it that I won the Intercounties? 1973. Like that year, I won the Dublin. I won the Leinster. I won the Intercounties, and I was just
nothing out of you.
No, I was just sitting there deciding
When will I go?
When will I go?
What is it?
You know, I was so relaxed just looking around me. You know, timing when I could go. You know, and you know that's
Well, experience and in good form and momentum. Then you see when you win, then you go again and win, and then you go again.
Yeah.
Well, what's in your mind? Winning again.
Yeah.
So,
but
it was fantastic. It's sure.
Absolutely.
Well, there are probably three things that you're famous for: 2 Olympics and leading Ireland to silver medals in the World Cross Country Championship.
Yeah, they're good memories. You know,
what's your mind?
You know, maybe we should talk about the what's happening here now.
Well, you may if you wish. But it's good to you're Mr. Cross Country from a Donegal point of view.
Yeah.
You know, there's no question about that. Now there have been fantastic cross country runners in Donegal. We'll not start naming anybody because you're going to leave out people. But you know, they have a good tradition, and they've been there for a long time, and they did very well. Maybe not the people we're talking about, but Donegal in general had a great representation in the Masters up in Dublin last weekend. So no, there's a foundation there. Started by yourselves way back in 61, give Eamon the credit for all that and taking it on, and now we're here with an Irish senior championship just across the road there. What do you think of it now?
It's the ambition and the vision of the people that brought it here, I think has to be commended first of all, you know, but because, you know, they all know, you know, Donegal is well respected throughout Ireland on what they've put into athletics in the last, you know, since 61.
Since the first club was formed,
you know, ever since we had, you know, I suppose we were the catalysts, you know.
You were, no doubt about it.
And, you know, I'd be amiss, you know, that all of our conversation over the years there, you know, I probably focused mostly on my own career, you know. But like Paddy Marley, Hugo Dugan, my brothers Frankie and Neely, you know, they were great athletes. Good athletes.
Very good.
If you had them around today, they would still be winning a lot of, you know, like the brother Frankie there. He is a 31 minute 10k, you know, and nearly 2:29 marathon. Ulster senior champion as well, you know.
Exactly.
You know, if you had people like you know that, you know, in Donegal, but you know the course, you know, going back over the years, you know, from the first time I ran a national cross country, I think it was probably down Tipperary or someplace, you know, and you know, but I've been around them all, you know, and you know. The different days and travelling to Mallow and to Portlaoise and to Waterford, you know, it wasn't, you know, it was
tough going.
It was tough going,
It
you
was
know,
tough going.
and you know that, you know, I hope there's nobody complaining about coming to here, you know, when they see the facilities here, and I'm sure when they go away they will appreciate it, but you know, the vision to put that on, and I suppose. I don't know who was instigation of it, you know, but Eamon, you know, there'd been...
It started with Eamon and built from there, and then there was a team put together, and look, they're doing their best to get the best foot forward.
You know, to bring it to the you know, I thought, you know, like I think I said to somebody, you know, that when it was made at first about, or somebody's got it from the vineyard or whatever you call it, the grapevine.
Grapevine, yes.
And that,
same idea. Yeah.
You know that the cross country was coming to Downings. I said I thought the cross country was fixed for Abbotsford, you know, and you know, and I said then, but the Legends Golf, maybe that's what they're mixing it up with, you know, but
no, it's here now.
It's here now,
it's here now, and
you know,
it's on Sunday,
it will be, you know, I think it will be a huge success, bringing, you know, over 2,000 athletes in the one course, and you know, you'll have anybody that wants to aspire now for teams, and that I hope people will rise to the occasion, and then Donegal.
Correct.
And like
that's important.
Yeah.
Well, they're seeing world-class athletes. Kieran McGain, for example, is running there.
Absolutely.
That's only one of many. You have Darren McElhenney, who finished second in the European Championship last year under 23. We could keep naming people, but it's important if they're interested in sport to get a feel for what it's really like. And all under 16s are allowed in free. So there's space out there for as many spectators that can come. Now, it might take them a little bit of time going from A to B. They're well used to that now. There's traffic jams here, there and everywhere. Now, the Garda are working hard on that. Traffic management plan in place. Plenty of parking space. Showers down in the GA centre in Downings. A farmer giving his field. The amount of goodwill and support that's coming from within the area, it's unbelievable, to tell you the truth. There's something about this that has triggered something that the people will be wanting to see it, and they'll not be disappointed.
I would make a genuine appeal to the people of Donegal, especially the athletic fraternity.
For sure.
Because we in Letterkenny were put on international athletics in Letterkenny. Didn't get the support that I thought it should have got, from the athletic fraternity and the general public. We brought international athletics to the town or to the county, and but I would genuinely appeal to make a show. And come and support their own club, county club runners
and teams. There will be many athletes from the county underage, and you have Letterkenny defending champions of the ladies seniors.
That's right.
And you have Finn Valley defending champions in the ladies under 20. So, and Donegal won the county last year, the senior ladies. Cork were second and Dublin third. What populations you're talking about? And that wasn't held in Donegal. So they're deserving of.
Like being from Letterkenny, that Letterkenny people will come out and see and support that ladies team that made history last year.
Last year, is right.
When you look, I was surprised myself, and when I heard that won, and I thought to myself, where are these big city teams like Leeville and Dublin City Harriers and
Well, they'll be back, so it'll be some ding dong battle.
Oh, absolutely.
And the same for the
so for that reason, to show support for yourselves that are that had the vision to put the likes of that on, and when I come down and look out today, it's just like Rome or Madrid or Ravi, that course, and it's going to be, it's just as exciting, I would say, and hopefully, that there's that the people come out and make a noise for the Donegal club runners. Doesn't matter what club you're from.
No, the Donegal jerseys on.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. No, that feedback's coming in as well. So now just one thing. On tomorrow is Saturday evening at 9 o'clock in the Downings Bay Hotel. There's going to be a little ceremony to honour Eamon Giles forming the club in 61 and doing what he has done over the last 61 years. That's going to be recognised by Athletics Ireland, and the Clonliffe Club are going to recognise a man that's associated with Dewey Downings. He wasn't actually born in Dewey Downings, but he's a Dewey Downings man. John Cronin is the president of the National Athletics Association. So that's happening tomorrow evening. It's free to get in. You can go in and just say, well done, boys. And that's going to be as short as possible because people have to get up the next day to either run or whatever if they're officiating. But Danny, it's been a pleasure talking to you, reminiscing there with that legend of Donegal athletics. So thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, and I think it's a great tribute to John Cronin. You know, on his year as president, that such an occasion as in his hometown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He had
and thank you again, Myles, for inviting me to do this interview. And I'm sure if it was choreographed maybe a little better, I wouldn't be the best, and but I do have many memories, and probably people might ask the question, did you ever win the national senior? Never did.
Yeah, it's strange that you didn't.
Yeah,
I'm
probably the greatest cross country runner in Ireland that didn't win the national senior.
Correct, I'd often
but
I'll ask one last question. How near to winning were you?
9 seconds.
Who beat you?
Jerry Deegan.
Okay, Waterford.
Yeah, 9 seconds. Yeah,
really?
I was second on a number of occasions.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No regrets, I don't wake up in the morning saying, I'm one that never won the national senior cross country, but I think all of the things that I did made up for it.
I think it did. Danny, thank you very much.
Thank you, Myles.
Thank you. Good man.